Welcome to the family, son.
7 years have passed since the release of Resident Evil 7, which is considered the most successful part of the series and also the most controversial, as some see it as a return to the roots of the series, while others see it as a departure from the foundation on which the series was built and an imitation of other games such as Outlast and PT. For me, I see it as a masterpiece, a game that made me delve deeper into the Resident Evil series and discover more things about this ancient series. So in this video, I will talk about Resident Evil 7. In order to understand Resident Evil, we must understand the history of the Resident Evil series, which is divided into 3 generations, and each generation has a specific era, with the first generation representing the golden period of the game, which extends for 8 years between 1996 and 2004, as this generation was distinguished by the fixed camera, during which Resident Evil was released. 1. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and also spin-offs such as Resident Evil 0, 1 Remake, and Resident Evil Code, Veronica. From 2005 to 2016, a new trend began with action and the camera system over the shoulder or third perspective, which I call the dark period of the series. Although it contained wonderful games, the level of most of the games was between ordinary or mediocre, and it was known for 3 main parts, namely Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 6, and also secondary parts, the most important of which is Resident Evil Revelations. From 2017 to 2024 is the period of the series' return, which began with Resident Evil 7. From the beginning of the game, you will notice the big change that is considered incomprehensible and which is similar to the change from the classic parts to the 4th part. But in the 7th part, there is a first-person camera and a main character whose face cannot be seen, and the events begin quickly. Ethan searches for his wife, who has been missing for 3 years, and decides going to the Louisiana region. And from the beginning of the game, you notice the limited gameplay with simple additions such as the blocking and crouching system. But it was a joy that one character returned, unlike the 6th and 5th parts, which killed an essential part of the game. The first hour of Resident Evil 7 was a lot of horror, the likes of which I have never seen in the entire series. From the first time Jack was horrified, and also the presence of videotapes, which gave a new and wonderful way of telling the story, which makes you experience horror in a different way. After discovering and searching the house, you will find Mia, who I assumed would be the last character I would meet, and this shows intelligence in telling the story. After you find Mia, she begins to behave in a strange way, hitting her head on the wall, walking down a flight of stairs, and trying to kill you in any way. You begin your first confrontation with her, and your weapon is an axe. After the events get complicated, you try to escape, but suddenly Mia attacks you, and you see your hand being cut off in front of you from its place, and this increased the feeling of terror. Several questions came to my mind. How do I complete the game without my hands, and how do I hold the weapon, which is considered an essential element? I did not finish my questions until I started a second confrontation with Mia in the upper room. It was a terrifying and difficult fight with limited ammunition, which ends with the scene you saw at the beginning of the video.
Welcome to the family, son.
Then you see Ethan's hand return to its place as if nothing would happen. One of the best moments of the game is the hero sitting with the 4 bosses that you will face throughout the duration of your playing the game. A crazy family, disgusting scenes, and a big, immobile character who later discovers that she is stronger than the rest. When you try to escape, you see Jack at the end of the narrow corridor, and there is nowhere to go except the table in the small kitchen where the chase gave an atmosphere of horror and resembles the chases in the game Outlast.
God damn!
After that, you will meet the policeman who will give you a knife, and you will see Jack cutting off his head in a frightening scene, and you will begin your first confrontation with Jack. The first hour of the game ended, and it was really very perfect, and nothing like it was as terrifying in the series. When I first entered the storage room, I could not hide my smile, full of memories. I was happy to see the storage box, whose last appearance in a major part was in Resident Evil 1 Remake, and that was 15 years ago. The Baker house was difficult and full of challenges and puzzles, and while you were thinking about escaping and surviving, you found Margaret looking for you with a lamp in her hand. The character of Jack Baker was the ultimate horror in everything and was distinguished by a wonderful voice performance. The main difference between him and Nemesis and the Mr. X is that Jack speaks,
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take you for a ride.
and he calls you.
Ethan? Ethan? Ethan?
And he asks you,
Better now?
and praise your car.
Nice car,
Jack Baker in his design as an old man eager to kill you, with his terrifying chases and 3 confrontations that were the pinnacle of horror during which he presented the peak of the terrifying characters in the series. Jack Baker did not appear in the game for long, as he was following you around the house. The duration of his presence in the game is estimated at approximately 32%, and this is a very small percentage compared to the appearance rate of Nemesis, which is estimated at 80%, and Mr. X, which is estimated at 50%. Despite this, he is a great addition to the game. The story, its introduction, and its events were very terrifying. The game does not depend on Jack Baker only, but also on his wife Margaret, who is no less terrifying and mad than him. The part of hiding and escaping from it was breathtaking, and it ended with the best fight in the game. Indeed, the fight was difficult and terrifying. You can see her arms and legs stretching with the insects that are chasing you. Then you go to Lucas's traps area and the puzzle room area, which is an excellent and frightening change with clever ideas. And then in the ship area, and you see the unfolding of events. The story of the game was moving according to an upward path until the last third of the game, which was less than before. Starting from the ship area, there were no new enemies, and you will face the same enemies. I cannot hide my frustration with the last fight, which I do not consider a fight, as it was weaker than all the fights in the game and was very fast. This means that I played approximately 40% of the game without new enemies and without a real leader. The enemies in the game were molds, which I consider more difficult than zombies, as there are regular molds, 4-footed molds, and also insects. Unfortunately, the enemies are somewhat similar in design, and their variety was weak compared to the parts. The previous part of the game regarding the camera, the first perspective was appropriate for the terrifying atmosphere. Also, with the return of several elements from the previous parts, such as the save room, the map full of details, and the tools and weapons screen. In a way that reminds me of Resident Evil 1 Remake, and also the additions that explained part of the story and its events. Resident Evil 7 is a return to everything loved in the series, and it is a critical and commercial success at a time when horror games have no market or reputation. Whether you love or hate the game, there is an undeniable fact that it is a true survival horror experience that saved the series from loss and loss of identity.